Okay, we're going to work on Excel Lab 5, and for this we're going to work on charts, and this is the final lab for Excel. So the work that you have after this is your individual trip budget. So 11.1. You have the labs, and one of the things that you need to look at very closely is you need to make sure on the checkoff sheet on page 5 of the lab page 3 of the lab instructions, make sure that you've included all the features. And what I mean by that is I have the instructions here. This is the Lab 5 instructions. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you've got the picture here of the one. And down here at the bottom is a checklist where you can check and make sure that you have everything included. So some of the things up at the top again that you're going to be looking for on the chart is not only that you enter a chart, but the chart needs to be labeled with titles. There needs to be some color to it. It needs to be something special. So let's look at charting real quick. I've got a couple of files open here, and one of the files is a student file that they had done for the SEMA trip, for the automotive trip to Las Vegas. So there are several different ways that you can do this. But the way that I like to do it is the first thing you do when you go to do a chart is highlight the range of cells that you want to chart. Make sure do not include totals, but do include the labels. So I'm not including any of these totals over here, none of these totals down here. Only the data that I want charted. If you do not include the labels, I'll show you how that is if you don't. If you only include the data, what happens here is when you go to insert a chart, and say I want to do a column chart, I just go to insert, column, select the type of chart I want to insert. Look at, there's no labels. You don't have the legend labels here. You don't have anything. So I'm going to click on the border and delete that. And now I'm going to pick up the labels. Now if I go to insert column and I just pick out a standard column chart, look at there. I get day 1, day 2, all of these labels right here. All of the legend is pre-formatted for me. All of these. So much easier. So now that I have a chart, there's things that I need to add to it. So if I go here and I can go to the layout and I can add a chart title. And there's two places you can add a chart title. You can add it to the very top and center it, or you can put it above the chart. See there? Now, right up here, I'm going to be typing. And this is travel and transportation. Well, travel and transportation are about the same thing, huh? Travel and registration cost. And when I press enter, my title goes there. I can increase the size of my title if I want to. But if I do increase the size of my title, what's going to happen is it's going to overpower my chart. If I go to my home tab, I can increase the size of the font. I can change the color of the font just like you do on anything else. I go back to the chart tools and there are some other things that I can do. Say I don't like this blue and yellow and gray and all of that. So I don't like that. So I can change it to greens. Or if I click on this down arrow, I can even change it to black. But take into consideration in black, most of the time you don't want the black background on the charts because if you're going to print it, it makes it very difficult. You know, a lot of ink. So I'm going to change it. I'm back to that blue. Let me go. How about this variegated blue? Some of the other things that you can do on this is, on this I can change, you see here how I have the chart title highlighted? I can shape fill that and I can put a blue background in there. I can do the same thing on the legend, click on the legend, and say I want a gradient there, a variegation in the colors. You see how there it goes from lighter to darker? There is so many things that you can do in a chart. If you go right over here to the far left hand side where I am, you can select the area of the chart. Say I want to go to the legend. Say I want to go to the plot area. What is the plot area? This is where all the figures are plotted. And I can format that. I can change the color of that, and I can put a gradient in there and say I want to change the brightness. Okay, now see there how I've got some yellow? This is just one thing. Now another thing that I need to do is, in this chart I said originally that you need to put labels. I can put an axis title. Say I want a vertical axis and I want it vertical here. You see how I now have a vertical axis here, but I need to put in there, and I'm going to put in dollars, so we know that it's not in euro or anything else. And then I can increase the size of this, and it's already bold. Sort of hard to read with that in, but that's okay. Now I don't think that I need a horizontal axis title on this one, but if I go to layout, I can go to axis titles. If I put in a horizontal axis title, you see I can title, and I can put in day number. I can put in anything that I want to. So when you go to do your charts, you can put in the horizontal and the vertical axis. Make sure you have all of these labeled. If you decide, this is sort of boring, I want something else, I can go to design and I can change the chart type. Say I want these cones. There, I can change it to cones, and look at there. I've got cones and it's slanted. And you have to sort of expand these sometimes to really get a good look at them. I can also change the color here. Right here on the chart styles, if I want it black and white, there's black and white. There's the green. But there's other things that you can do. If I want to change the background of this, and I click on the outside, well, I'm going to show you another way. You see when I click inside the chart, this is the back wall of the chart, is what is called, and I can shape fill the back wall. Say I want to change that to a yellow. Here is the side wall right here. You see how the dots are around that? I can change one color by just clicking on one of these series. And say I don't like that light green. Let's change that one to dark green. You can change one series. And since this one is so high in cost, why don't I change that to something red? How's that? You see when you change these colors, it also changes it in the legend. So that's how you get into changing any of these areas. Now, say I want to change the background on the legend. See there? Now, if I want to change the whole color on the chart, I just click on the outside. See where my mouse is, and I click here. So none of these individual areas are checked. I go to shape fill, and I can scroll over this and see what colors do I really want in the background. Ooh. Okay, what about some kind of a neutral color like that? So it really stands out nice. There's other things you can do. You can outline your shape. Now once again, if I'm selecting the grid line area here, if I outline it, look at how I'm getting the outline. You see, let me see here. Let's do it with a dark green so it shows up. But look, you can barely see the outline. So what I really need to do is change the weight of the outline and make it wider. See there, now it stands out real well. If I want to put an outline on the whole chart, I click in one of the blank areas here, shape outline. Let me see. How about if we put a yellow on it? But see, once again, it doesn't show, so I'm going to have to change the weight. See there? Now you can see the outline. There's other things that you can do. You can change the effects. You can change it to where there's a glow on the outside of it. You see that blue glow or a green glow since we have green. So I'm going to leave that green glow. There's other things you can do. You can bevel it almost like a keyboard. So you can change the effects of your, if we do this on there's certain things that you cannot do in certain areas of the chart. Like on the legend, when I go to the shape effects, you can't do a reflection here because it's grayed out. But if I do the bevel, see there, now it looks almost like a key from a keyboard. I think you can get the idea that there's a lot that you can do with charts. You can also change the data if you want it. One of the things that you can do too is this is what is called embedded in the chart, in the spreadsheet. You can move this chart to where it has its own sheet. So if you, right here on the Design tab, if you click Move Chart, right over here, you can tell it to go into a new sheet all by itself. And when I click OK, there it's on a sheet by itself. If I decide I change my mind, I can always move it back into the other sheet. But this way it's on a sheet all by itself. Now one last thing I want to show you on charts. Two last things, I'm sorry. And I'm going to show you this on the spreadsheet that we've been working on. You say, what in the world am I going to chart here? This is going to be very difficult. But what you're going to do here is a couple of things. When you select your data for the chart, select the names, then hold your Control key down, select your count. You can select your count, or you can select your cost, whatever it is. So this way, see, I'm not selecting that is in between. All I have is these two areas. I want to chart how much did each person buy. So now I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go to a column chart, and I'm going to do a cylinder chart this time. And you see here how it says this person purchased 3. This person, Ken James, purchased 3. And you can see visually here the highest purchase was this person right here, Linda John. Well, you know what's interesting about this is now that you have this, say I went back and said I wanted to purchase 2 more. Watch your chart when I press enter. Look how it automatically updates your chart. Now once again, I'm not going to do this, but you need to add your labels, add some colors of some kind to where it looks nice. But this is basically your charting. The one that is really more difficult to do is your pie chart. Your pie chart, you have to be careful that what you are selecting is not multiple. You know, there's multiple values. And what I mean by that is you cannot chart in a pie chart the cost and the total amount. It does not work in pie charts. So this time I'm going to select my names. Let's do this differently now. I'm going to select the type of cookie, and I'm going to go down here in the total amount, and I'm going to select the total amount. And I'm going to create a pie chart. And I'm going to create just a standard pie chart, a 2D pie chart. Look at there. Your legend is here because I selected the names. This is the amounts, but it doesn't say a whole lot, does it? If you go over here to layout, as you notice, there's no axis titles on here because a pie chart doesn't have axes. You can put in your pie chart, you can change your legend however you want, but you also can add data labels, and you can do this to any chart. But if I add data labels, I can add data labels on the outside end. You see here how it put the amount there? I can also put it inside, and there's the labels. And if I don't like how small that is, I click on the data label, go over to the Home tab, and I increase the size of it. Also on a pie chart, you can select one particular section of this pie chart and see how it's only this one little triangle area, and I can drag it out to really accent that certain slice of the pie, and that's called exploding a pie chart. Now once again, this pie chart is not done because you don't have a title on it and you don't have some other changes, but that's the simple clues of a pie chart. So if I go to my format here, once again, I can change the color. Say I want to change the colors on this one. If I can choose whichever one. I'm not real fond of that pink, so I'm going to change that maybe to dark green. I can do the outlines again. But what I'm going to get here, if you look, it's the outline of the box. It's not going to be the outline of the individual slices of the pie. If I want to do that, I need to choose the slices of the pie and the shape outline and go back in here to the weight, and you see how I get the outline around the slices of the pie instead of the whole thing. So I'm going to take this outline off, this one right here. No outline there. So that's a pretty cool looking pie chart. So hopefully this helps you with charts. Okay, so I'm going to let you work with yours. Once again, be sure to check that checklist before you turn in Lab 5. Okay, good luck.